Hello friends, and welcome back to Disestablishment Juggling. We're going back to flow. I know some of you are groaning, but this is a discussion and an argument and a debate that's going on, whether it frustrates you, whether you're tired of it, whether you like it or not. And I know a lot of you don't like it, and you're just like, man, just do your thing, like you do you, and like I respect that. But it's kind of like musical genres. People want to classify things. They want to have a word or words to define different types of things, right? One could look at music and just say, well, man, why do you need to talk about drum and bass versus house? Like, isn't it getting a little bit weird with this, like, psy-dub, trip-hop, sub-genreification? Like, it's just music, man. Which is fair, you're right. But humans like to have more specificity than that. They like to be more granular than that. So we're dipping back into flow just briefly here. Stick with me, I want to clarify some things. So one of the things I heard online a lot was like, well, why would you refer to this as flow and not say like creative? Okay, well when I think creative, honestly what comes to mind is lining my juggling balls up on the ground and rolling around while I pick them up. That is what I think of when I think of creative or artistic juggling. It's this attempt to be more like ballet or dance that I don't think comes off very well personally in juggling, but if that's your thing, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that being your jam. Put your balls on the ground and roll around them. It's all good. You do you. But I didn't want to use that word because that doesn't seem to define what I think of as flow. Another one that came up was improv. Well, you're talking about just like, you know, throwing out random tricks without a real plan. And that's not, again, I don't think what flow is. You can have a plan that is very flow oriented. So it's not really improv. Improv is simply going into a thing and just going for it, just doing it. And there could be aspects of that in flow, but you could do that from a tech perspective too, right? You could go in and do tech tricks that are, you know, super technical and just not have a plan for them, and that'd still be improv. So I don't think that word works. Another thing that I've heard people in the community talking about would be the flow is in the spiritual flow, the flow of the universe, man. And like, that's fair if you're into that sort of thing, cool, no worries. But again, I don't think that mentality is what defines a flow performer. Finally, there's the state of flow. And the state of flow I think is interesting, but as pointed out online, I would agree with this, you can be in a state of flow doing all sorts of different stuff. You could get into a state of flow while knitting. You could get into a state of flow while doing tech tricks. I could sit here and just do this, and this could be my way into the state of flow. But I don't think that's actually what we're talking about when we say flow performance. So what I'm arguing is that flow performance is a style, a mentality, a certain structure that's very focused on transitions, very focused on creating something that weaves together and works together. And the reason I think that is that when I think of flow performances, I think of things like poi. Well, what does poi do that's really interesting? It's a sort of dance form, and you don't, in a lot of cases, have performers who use poi that simply will show off a single trick and then stop, and then show off another one. It doesn't work very well from a poi perspective. And when I think of flow arts in general, I think all of them have that same sort of transitional composition to them. I think of that when I see people do flower sticks too, or devil sticks. I think of that when I see yo-yo, even though yo-yo is not traditionally included in the flow arts. I think of yo-yo as a very sort of flow-oriented performance style. When you look at yo-yo tricks, it's again rare that you see tricks where somebody's just showing off a single trick. Videos where somebody's only showing off a single trick. Yo-yoers tend to put together long sequences of tricks that all flow into each other. So when I think of flow, I think of sort of what Bruce Lee described when he talked about Wing Chun, his style, about being like water, about flowing between different stances, about adapting to whatever it is that you're doing at the time. And that, for me, is flow. That ability to move somewhere and do what's necessary for the thing you're trying to accomplish at that moment. It's a transitional style. It's a mentality of approaching an art form, a skill-based toy. And I think you can get flow styles in dance too. You can have much more technical styles, but you can also have very flow-oriented styles. One that comes to mind for me would be sliding. Sliding is like, you could do a tech-based approach to sliding and just do the moonwalk, and the moonwalk's cool, but when you see sliders in public doing their thing, in general you see them flowing quickly between different steps, different movement styles. So I hope that clears up a couple things about flow, and I hope you'll come hang out with me again soon on Disestablishment Juggling, and, you know, touch my button. It'll feel good. Have a good day.